You're watching Shaw Arts and Entertainment. I'm Curtis Anderson, back at my home away from home. I'm in the basement of Tramps downtown, doing some record shopping. Look who I'm joined by. Can you get a better companion for record shopping? Mr. Jonathan Torrens. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Curtis. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Right off the bat, you singled in on the Tears for Fears. Is that gonna add to your collection? Are you gonna take that away from Saskatoon?
Tears for Fears for me was probably the first musical discovery when I was like, don't want to date myself, although I have been a lot lately.
Okay.
Was probably the first musical discovery for me that kind of moved me emotionally and made me realize the places that music could take you.
Yeah.
So The Hurting and Songs from the Big Chair were great albums. And then I walk in here and the first thing I see is that.
It's like
and
it was
by
meant
that,
to be.
do you want to go look at that?
Let's do it. Let's go over here.
Look at that. That didn't come cheap.
No.
There you got your Roland Orzabal. There you got your Kurt Smith.
See?
And word on the underground is that they're getting back together this year.
You might have to do a remix of Shout Shout Let It All Out.
I know.
Maybe. Maybe not today, but one day. Do you think Tears for Fears can help you read, maybe? Because that's what you're in town for. Do you think by listening to this album it might up your ability to read?
It could do. I suppose anything with words on it, just by its very nature, ups your ability to read them.
Okay.
But not to take away from your segue, because it was flawless
It was
and seamless.
a flawless segue.
No,
You
that
know,
was like
yeah?
social lubricant.
Social
You just
lubricant.
poured on the conversation, and suddenly we were somewhere else, and I
We were
panicked.
somewhere else. We should keep going in that direction, though, really quickly. You're in town to support Read Saskatoon. Obviously, I'm guessing you get approached by hundreds of organizations to attach your name to it. What was it about Read Saskatoon that made you go, yes, this is it?
First of all, I don't get approached by hundreds of organizations, but second of all, this one is one that's very relevant to me and very special to me. Because it is involved with Peter Zosky Invitationals. Do you remember Peter Zosky?
I don't.
CBC radio broadcaster, had a show called Morningside for years and years, and he started these tournaments for literacy in 1984. And now they're in every province and territory, and last year we hit the $10 million mark in terms of raising money for literacy. So that's side A.
Okay.
Side B, or side 2,
Side 2.
for me personally, my first ever book that I read was a book called The Game of Our Lives by Peter Zosky, where he spent a year on the bus with the Edmonton Oilers before they were the kind of dynasty team. So when young Mark Messier, young Yari Curry, young guy by the name of Wayne Gretzky. And that was the first book that I read in my life that I went, oh man, reading is cool. So it's kind of the perfect tapas platter of things that are important to me and also things that have affected me personally.
I'm sure you're already kind of sick of doing these media interviews, so I'm trying to go in different directions here. I know you've already talked about your beginnings in street sense, so we'll take that in a different direction. Do you think this, with all your knowledge of street sense, is a good investment?
Well, I suppose a good investment is anything that's going to appreciate.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're making purchases like this to take the emotion out of it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, this has an emotional context and an emotional value. Whether suddenly there's going to be a big Tears for Fears boom and people are going to be going crazy for Tears for Fears merchandise, I can't imagine that to be true.
Just maybe, though.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
Do you know when I knew it was time to leave Street Sense? This is a true story. The third time I did the Why Is There So Much Air and Chip Bag story.
Really?
People kept writing in going, I don't understand, but there aren't
staple
that
at
many
Shaw.
chips in there.
It's a staple at Shaw. I've
That
done that
story?
story like 6 times. Should I be leaving?
Okay, well, why is there so much air in chip bags? What have you guys discovered?
It actually adds to the weight of it. So when it says the grammage, the air adds to it.
Okay, but why do chip companies say there's so much air in chip bags?
That was actually my next question. Why is that?
So they don't break.
Wow.
Good story.
You heard it here first. I did the story 6 times, didn't come to that conclusion. But
Yeah.
thank you for that.
But if you're doing chip stories, you have to use puns like chip on your shoulder and let the chips fall where they may and things like that.
Really going back here, I saw a phone interview with you one day on TV from the guy that opened for Mike Bullard. This is when John Vision came to its end.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. I'm really stretching here. He asked you why it was coming to an end, and you said you wanted to leave while it was still mothers lock up your daughters. It's a John Vision instead of daughters lock up your mothers. It's a John Vision. Is that true? Is that why you left?
That was the warm-up show with Sean Tweedley.
I guess so.
And I think he was actually the one who said that.
Oh.
But
It was like 2001. I was working Master Control in my very first media job, but I thought that was a great quote.
Really? It was a great
Yeah.
quote. And I guess philosophically the reason was the same. I just think it's better to leave something before people are like, okay, get off the stage. Is there anybody else we can get? And also I turned 30 and I'd been on CBC for 15 years. That's a long time. And I was sick of me.
Well,
So
you were always my favorite on-air person after that quote, which wasn't yours. So this is, I guess this is a good way to cut. Do you know if that guy's around? Is he coming through Saskatoon?
Oh, really? That's how it's going to end?
I'm just joking. Okay.
Sean Tweedley.
Huge ties with Degrassi. You had a big Degrassi reunion on John Vision, and later you got to be part of the new generation. Did you do a lot of research playing that character?
Well, okay, so a tiny bit of backstory.
Yeah. Some acid.
Degrassi, the original version, Shane, who went halfsies on a baby with
Yeah.
Spike.
Halfsies, that's usually how they're made.
Yeah. Took some acid and jumped off a bridge and suffered undefined injuries, really.
Yeah. I heard he wanted more money, and that's why they wrote him out. But anyways,
Did you hear that?
yes.
Well, in fact, the true story is, so the next generation is all about their now 15-year-old baby. And
Emma?
Yeah, and the guy who played Shane originally said, come on, write me in. Why won't you guys write me in? Write me in, write me in. This is the way I gather the story happened.
Yeah.
And they wrote a script, and he felt it didn't really kind of sit with where he thought Shane would be. And so it was one of the perks of bearing a passing resemblance to somebody else. Because they're like, who else? The category's blonde people over 20. And it was Ricky Schroeder or me or Jeff Rogstad.